Tell me the stories of grace. I love to hear things I would want you to tell me while I am here. Scenes of your church life, things you have seen, stories of grace, share them with me. Oh, let me hear how these walls had shouts of praise. Tell me also of the tears that here have been laid. How has God challenged? How were you restored? Tell me the divine powers coming through these doors. Tell me in accents of wonder how you were formed. Tell how you walked with Jesus, strong and as one. How did the Master ready you to serve? Tell me, Grace Congregational, why you are church.
Hello, everybody. How are you today? I am so glad that you have joined us for the Midweek Connection. Tell me the stories of grace. I have a wonderful guest today, Kathy Willis. So we're going to have a wonderful conversation, and I'm going to learn more about grace. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Alberta. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm happy to be here with you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Kathy, how long have you been connected to the church?
Oh my goodness, I should have done the math before I came. I would say probably 16 years or longer. I started, probably longer. I started many, many years ago as one of the 100 and some singers of the Messiah, and got hooked. And when my son was 11 or 12, he started singing the Messiah in the soprano section with me too, and he was a big name at Grace Church for a long time.
Music connected you here.
Music did indeed.
Oh, wow. What has sustained you throughout your connection with grace?
I became a member of the choir and did all the shows and performances that we did over the years, so music was definitely it, but the choir for sure became a second family, and a large number of the congregation did as well. And then when my son and I both joined Grace, that made it a stronger connection. I have been involved with the outreach we've done in Zimbabwe and in Kenya, the schools and the orphanages we've supported there, so that's been a real draw for me as well.
Global outreach here.
The global outreach.
Oh, how did you get involved in the global outreach?
In 2004, the Bosch family, who were very involved in the church at the time, were taking a trip to Zimbabwe where they had friends. It was a Seventh-day Adventist group that were running an orphanage over there, and they invited Rip Jackson, who was Minister of Music at the time, and myself, and Jennifer Wright to go with them, and we jumped at that opportunity. We were there for 2 weeks, teaching the children, working in the schools, tutoring them afterwards. And Africa, if you've never been there, have you been to Africa?
I've never been to Africa.
Absolutely breathtakingly beautiful, just beautiful, like no other place in the world. We came back from that experience changed, very much so. And Jennifer then went on to college, and in the middle of her college experience decided that she knew her calling was to develop orphanages and children's homes and schools around the world. And she began in Kenya. It took a lot longer than she thought it was going to. It's been, I believe, 11 years now. But what she's accomplished in those 11 years, starting as just out of college, is extraordinary. She gathered up a bunch of girls, built a girls' dorm, started a secondary school, which is very highly rated over there. Now has expanded to bringing boys in. There's a boys' dorm. They're making a new dorm this this is summer. This summer right now, she brought in, after years of fundraising, she brought in a well system so that there's water not only for the children in the school and the gardens there, but for the whole community. That was huge, having a well, and just seeing what she's been able to accomplish with the support of Grace Church. The church has been integral into her foray there. They've supported her, they've done fundraisers, we've done fundraisers for her. People have supported children by sponsorships, and concerts have been done to raise money for her. It's been an extraordinary experience. And the fact that Vermont being such a small state, and pretty insular, really, the fact that people are willing to look across the globe to a country they've never been to. A number of volunteers from here have gone, but not everybody has for sure. So the fact that they're willing to open their hearts and their pocketbooks and themselves to support something they may never see is just heartwarming and exciting.
And the United Church of Christ encourages us to be involved in our church's wider mission. And a lot of times, people don't have quite an understanding of why we would be concerned about people so far away when right here in our own neighborhoods we have children who don't have food and don't have housing. What would you say to them when they would say, well, why should I support building an orphanage in some place that I'm never going to go, and I see children every day who can't get to school?
I've been asked that question. It's a good question. And I think we're all very well aware, especially now with COVID happening. I mean, this is a huge crisis. But in Vermont, across the country, there have been, before all this, so much poverty and so many great needs here. And when I was asked about why would we want to support Zimbabwe or Kenya, my response was, well, you're absolutely right, we do have all those needs here, but we also have a lot of agencies that will help take care of them here. And countries, third world countries on the other side of the world, there is no one else. And it's all one family, you know. We live in our houses, in our towns, in our states, but we're all on the same planet. It's all one globe. And I think we need to remember that while many of us have so much, on the other side of the globe, in another country, or maybe in another state or down the street, there's someone who needs so much. And the thing that changed me the most when I was in Zimbabwe, we went to a little village in the middle of literally nowhere. They were just thatched huts, 2 of them. They actually had post office addresses, which is incredible because there were no roads. We're in a safari jeep being driven hours and hours and hours from one place to another. We happened to pass by. And we stopped, and our Zimbabwean driver asked the villagers, there were only a few of them, if we could get out and talk to them. And they were thrilled, elated. So there was a woman and a man and some children, and these 2 little huts. And the woman had been cleaning her hut. The floor was dirt, of course. You could literally eat off the floor. She had swept it so much. Their possessions were almost none. They had some tin cans they were cooking from, eating out of. They had almost nothing. And apparently down the hill they had some cattle, which I wasn't able to see. But I realized they were in the middle of nowhere with no access to anything. They couldn't walk to a store, they had no way to get anywhere. And I realized these people are at the mercy of the weather. If it rains, they have water. If it doesn't, they don't, and their cattle die. And yet, I have never seen people who look more joyful than these people who have, by our standards, virtually nothing to be grateful for. They were beaming. They speak English. They were beaming that we were there. They were asking us all kinds of questions. There were 2 little boys. We gave them chewing gum. They burst into tears because they'd never seen white people before, and they weren't sure what it was, but the mother was great. They could not have been more gracious, more kind, more friendly. And I got home and I thought, here are people with literally nothing, and yet they have so much gratitude in their hearts. We have everything that we need and so much more, and we're always needing something else. It was a stunning realization, and such an important one. And I remembered that ever since. So when I go shopping now, I think, do you like it? Okay. Do you want it? Mm-hmm. Do you need it? Maybe not. It was an experience, just a life-changing experience, as I said, to be over there and to see the joy and the love in these people's faces when they were literally living out of tin cans.
See, that's what happens when we get involved in mission work outside of our own little closed sphere. We become transformed and understanding what gratitude and thankfulness looks like in a different sphere. And that helps to open up our hearts and minds. It kind of helps us to reflect on what we complain about, or what we say we need and what we say we want. It's throughout these conversations we hear very strongly how music has connected people to grace, and that is so wonderful. But what I also am hearing is that the mission and the service that Grace provides locally and globally has kept people engaged. Music is good for our hearts and our souls, and it feels good. But it feels even better when we can give something to someone else and know that it has a lasting impact. And that's what it sounds like it has happened with your connection with Grace and your engagement in the mission work that happens here. Now, you mentioned the orphanages in Kenya and Zimbabwe. Are there other mission opportunities that you have participated in here at Grace?
I have not. I was a teacher, so many times the events that were happening here were happening at times when I was not able to get away. But I know when Hurricane Katrina happened, I know we sent mission trips down there. I know we've sent mission trips all over the country when the need has arisen, usually like a week long for families and kids. And I think those kinds of experiences are just tremendous because, again, the gratitude that you show up, that you're there to help muck out a house or put up some walls or take in food is, to get outside, you say get outside of your own neighborhood is extraordinary. And the church has a rich history. I know I don't know all of it, but a history of helping Habitat for Humanity, those kinds of things. It's so important. And I should mention as well, music was a huge part of the Zimbabwe experience. We sang with the kids, we taught the kids they taught us. We went to several church services, which are really long over there, like 4 hours. And there was a lot of talking and a lot of singing. The children loved singing. Rip Jackson, the music minister, was teaching them how notes work on a scale because they'd never seen them before. They'd never seen sheet music, of course. So the music piece was one of the things. Well, I have another story to tell you. One of the things that brought us together. So the school in Zimbabwe was in a town called Harare, and down the hill was a little village, and many of the children that went to the school came from this village. So the director of the school said one day, let's go down and meet the families. So he took us by the hand, literally, and took us down there, and he asked us to start singing one of the African songs we learned, and we've sung here many, many times, to see what would happen. Again, the people spoke English, but they were very wary of us because we have blonde hair and white skin, and they don't know who we are. So we started singing one of our songs, and slowly the children approached us.
Coming to you?
And then the mothers started approaching us, and they were just intrigued, and the music brought us together. And we were then able to go and see their homes, but I think music was the introduction that says, we're here, we're safe, we care about you, you're safe with us, and we'd like to just spend a few minutes with you. It was that's what opened the door. Oh, and then we had our cameras, so we took all kinds of videos, and the children loved looking at that. But music got us in the door.
Oh, how wonderful, how wonderful. It is good to hear that Grace is solid in the connection and solid in engagement. Because many people can just fly in and fly out, and it feels good sometimes to do that, but it takes a lot to keep people engaged and to show how music can continue to be engaging and to open up doors to say, we're here as peace givers. We come in peace, and we come to give of ourselves. and not to change, because so many of the colonizers came to change, and not to just simply be present. And I hear that it was a strong presence to the people in Africa and Kenya and Zimbabwe. Oh, Kathy, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Alberta.
Thank you. Now, if you had one statement that you wanted to share with the other people of Grace in regards to Grace Church, what would you remind people about Grace?
Well, I guess it would be relevant to say that Grace Church, Vermont, the world is going through a very difficult transitional time right now. These are not easy days. The virus alone is enough to cause all kinds of problems. Grace, from my experience and from listening to those who've been here far longer than I, Grace is a very, very strong place. Our hearts are strong, our intents are good. We've weathered difficult times. This is a unique one. As we go through this transition, we just need to remember we can do this. That we have each other. There are wounds that need to be healed. There are hearts that need to be mended. But we can do this because we've done it for others. We've done it for decades. And we're going to come out stronger on the other side if we just are patient and open and honest. And we'll get there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
On this coming Sunday, we'll be taking the donations for our church's wider mission. This one of the specialty donations for the United Church of Christ. Please come prepared to continue to help OCWN, our church's wider mission, because we are our brothers and sisters keeper. We care for one another. Thank you again, Kathy. It's so wonderful to hear the stories of Grace and to be reminded, and that the people of Grace can be reminded that this too is just something that you're going through, so that you rise above it to see what God has for Grace in the next phase of what Grace is going to do in their mission work, and as well as in their music, how the music is used to connect Grace to this here and to the world. Thank you again, Kathy, for being our guest today on Midweek Connection and Tell Me the Stories of Grace. God bless you, God keep you, and God continue to remind you that all is well and all will be well. Take care. Bye-bye.